What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actresses walks onto a morning talk show expecting a normal interview, only to be ambushed with personal attacks and disrespectful questions that cross every professional line? It only took 40 seconds of Lorraine Kelly's condescending remarks for the entire set to erupt into one of the most shocking confrontations in daytime television history. Kate Winslet arrived at the studio that morning with a smile on her face, ready to promote her latest film project. She had no idea she was about to experience something that would leave the entire crew stunned and the audience speechless. The atmosphere seemed normal at first. The cameras were rolling, the studio audience was seated, and the panel was ready. Lorraine Kelly sat in her usual chair, flanked by her regular panelists, entertainment correspondent Sarah Thompson and lifestyle expert Marcus Green. The interview started innocently enough. Lorraine welcomed Kate to the show with what seemed like genuine enthusiasm. Well, look who we have here today, everyone. Kate Winslet, the actress who simply refuses to age, apparently. The comment hung in the air for a moment. Kate's smile flickered just slightly, but she maintained her composure. "Thank you for having me, Lorraine. It's lovely to be here." Lorraine leaned forward with a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. "So, Kate, let's talk about your new film. Another period drama, I see. Don't you ever get tired of playing the same types of characters? I mean, how many corsets can one woman wear in a career?" The audience laughed nervously. Sarah Thompson shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Kate's expression remained professional, though her eyes hardened just a touch. "Actually, the role is quite different from anything I've done before. The character is complex and deeply layered, which is exactly why I was drawn to the project." Lorraine waved her hand dismissively. Yes, I'm sure it's very deep and meaningful. But tell me, when are you going to do something fun? Something modern? Or are you just comfortable hiding behind historical costumes at this point in your career?" Marcus Green cleared his throat loudly, his discomfort visible. Kate straightened in her seat, her smile now completely gone. "I choose roles based on the quality of the writing and the depth of the character, not based on what era they're set in. I think that's what any serious actor would do." Lorraine laughed, a sharp sound that cut through the studio. "Oh, a serious actor. Right, because we all know how seriously we should take someone who got famous for freezing to death on a door in the ocean." The reference to Titanic landed like a bomb. The audience gasped audibly. Sarah Thompson's mouth fell open in shock. Marcus Green looked down at his notes, clearly wishing he could disappear. Kate's face flushed red, but she kept her voice steady. That film meant a great deal to millions of people around the world. It was an honor to be part of it. Lorraine wasn't finished. She leaned back in her chair with an air of superiority. "Oh, come on, Kate. Let's be honest here. You've been dining out on that one role for decades now. Every interview, every appearance, someone brings up Jack and Rose. Don't you think it's time to accept that maybe, just maybe, that was your peak?" The studio fell completely silent. Even the camera operators looked uncomfortable. Kate took a slow, deep breath. "I've had a very fulfilling career with many roles I'm incredibly proud of. The Reader, Steve Jobs, Mayor of Easttown. Each project has been meaningful in its own way." Lorraine cut her off with a dismissive gesture. "Yes, but none of them quite captured the public imagination like that floating door scene, did they? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. You're living off past glory, aren't you?" Sarah Thompson finally found her voice. "Lorraine, I think that's a bit unfair. Kate has won multiple Academy Awards and continues to deliver incredible performances." Lorraine shot Sarah a withering look. "I don't recall asking for your opinion, Sarah. I'm having a conversation with our guest." Kate's jaw tightened. Her hands gripped the armrests of her chair. "With all due respect, Lorraine, this doesn't feel like a conversation. It feels like an attack." Lorraine's eyes widened in mock surprise. "An attack? Oh, Don't be so dramatic, Kate. I'm just asking the questions everyone else is too polite to ask. Isn't that what good journalism is about? Marcus Green attempted to intervene. Perhaps we should move on to discussing the actual film Kate is here to promote. Lorraine ignored him completely, her attention laser focused on Kate. Let's talk about something else then, shall we? Your weight. You've been very vocal about body positivity over the years. Very brave of you, really. But don't you think there's a difference between body positivity and letting yourself go? The studio went completely still. Several audience members looked at each other in disbelief. Kate's face went from red to pale in an instant. Her voice, when she spoke, was ice cold. Excuse me? Lorraine pressed on, seemingly oblivious to the tension crackling through the air. I'm just saying, darling, you've always been a bigger girl, haven't you? And that's fine. Absolutely fine. But when you're in the public eye, don't you think you have a responsibility to set a certain standard? Especially for young girls who look up to you? Sarah Thompson stood up abruptly. Lorraine, this is completely inappropriate. You need to stop right now. Lorraine pointed at Sarah without looking at her. Sit down, Sarah. This is my show, and I'll conduct my interviews however I see fit. Kate's voice cut through the chaos with quiet intensity. How dare you? How absolutely dare you sit there and make comments about my body, about my career, about my choices? Who do you think you are? Lorraine leaned forward with a smirk. I'm someone who's been in this industry long enough to recognize when someone is past their prime, dear. And I think deep down, you know it too. Why else would you be so defensive? Kate stood up slowly, her microphone still clipped to her dress. I came here today as a professional, to discuss my work with respect and dignity. Instead, I've been subjected to personal attacks, body shaming, and dismissive commentary about my entire career. Lorraine waved her hand again, that same dismissive gesture. Oh, please, don't be so sensitive. This is live television, Kate. If you can't handle a few honest questions, maybe you should stick to scripted dialogue. Marcus Green stood up as well, his face flushed with anger. Lorraine, you've crossed a line. This isn't journalism. This is bullying. Lorraine finally looked at him, her expression venomous. And you can join Sarah in keeping your opinions to yourself, Marcus. I don't need my own panelists undermining me on my own show. Kate began removing her microphone, her hands shaking slightly with suppressed rage. I have worked in this industry for over 30 years. I have been interviewed by some of the most respected journalists in the world. Never, and I mean never, have I been treated with such blatant disrespect and cruelty. Lorraine stood up now too, her voice rising. Cruelty? You want to talk about cruelty? How about the cruelty of wasting everyone's time by being so thin-skinned that you can't handle a real conversation? This is what's wrong with celebrities today. You all expect everyone to worship at your feet and never ask difficult questions. Sarah Thompson moved closer to Kate. Kate, you don't have to stay here. This is unacceptable. Kate nodded, still fumbling with the microphone clip. You're absolutely right, Sarah. I don't have to stay here. Lorraine let out a harsh laugh. What are you going to do, Kate? Storm off? How very diva of you. I suppose this is the part where you stomp off in a huff because someone finally told you the truth? Kate finally got the microphone off and placed it carefully on her chair. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm but filled with steel. The truth? You wouldn't recognize the truth if it hit you in the face, Lorraine. Lorraine's face turned red with anger. How dare you speak to me like that on my own show? Do you know how many people would kill to be sitting in that chair? Kate looked her directly in the eye. Then I suggest you find one of them, because I'm done here. Lorraine stepped closer, her voice dripping with venom. You're done when I say you're done. This is my show, my set, my rules. Kate actually laughed, a sound of pure disbelief. Your rules? Your rules include ambushing guests with personal attacks. Your rules include body shaming. Your rules include dismissing decades of work because of some petty jealousy you clearly harbor. Lorraine's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Jealousy? You think I'm jealous of you? That's rich, Kate. That's absolutely rich. Kate picked up her handbag from beside the chair. I think you're a bitter woman who gets her kicks from tearing down successful people. I think you've forgotten what actual journalism looks like. And I think you owe me, and everyone watching, an apology. Lorraine crossed her arms defiantly. I owe you nothing. If you can't handle honest criticism, that's your problem, not mine. Sarah Thompson spoke up again, her voice stronger now. Lorraine, she's right. You've been completely out of line from the moment this interview started. We all saw it. The audience saw it. The viewers at home are seeing it right now. Marcus Green nodded in agreement. This isn't what we signed up for, Lorraine. This isn't entertainment. This is just mean-spirited and cruel. Lorraine whirled on them both. Oh, so now you're both turning on me? After everything I've done for both of your careers? This is the thanks I get? Kate started walking toward the edge of the set. Lorraine's voice followed her, shrill and desperate now. Where do you think you're going? We're not finished here. Kate stopped and turned back one last time. Yes, Lorraine, we are absolutely finished here. I came here as a guest, expecting professional courtesy. Instead, I got ambushed by someone who seems to think cruelty is a substitute for wit. You should be ashamed of yourself. Lorraine took a step forward, her face contorted with rage. I should be ashamed? You're the one running away like a coward. Kate's voice remained steady, though her eyes blazed with controlled fury. I'm not running away. I'm choosing not to participate in whatever twisted game you're playing. There's a difference. Lorraine let out a shrill laugh. Twisted game? I'm trying to have a real conversation, Kate. Maybe if you spent less time being precious about your image and more time being honest, you'd understand that. Sarah Thompson moved to stand beside Kate. I think Kate has been nothing but honest and professional. The same cannot be said for you, Lorraine. Lorraine pointed a shaking finger at Sarah. You're fired. Consider yourself fired, Sarah. Marcus Green stood up straighter. Then fire me too, because I'm not staying here to watch you bully people on live television. Lorraine's face was now a deep crimson. Fine. You're both fired. See if I care. I don't need either of you. Kate shook her head slowly. This is sad, Lorraine. This whole thing is just incredibly sad. I actually feel sorry for you. Lorraine's voice reached a fever pitch. Sorry for me? You feel sorry for me? I'm not the one who can't handle a little constructive criticism. Kate turned to leave again. Lorraine grabbed her arm. Don't you dare walk away from me when I'm talking to you. Kate looked down at Lorraine's hand on her arm, then back up at Lorraine's face. Her voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Take your hand off me. Right now. Something in Kate's tone must have registered, because Lorraine immediately let go, though her defiance remained. You're making a huge mistake, Kate. Walking off my show like this. It'll be all over the news. People will think you're difficult to work with. Kate smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Let them think what they want. Anyone who watches this footage will see exactly what happened here. They'll see a professional actress trying to promote her work, and they'll see a host who decided to use her platform to bully and belittle her guest. Lorraine's laugh was almost hysterical now. Bully? Belittle? I was just asking questions. Why is everyone so sensitive these days? Marcus Green stepped forward. Those weren't questions, Lorraine. Those were attacks. And you know it. Lorraine spun to face him. Oh, what would you know, Marcus? You sit there week after week, nodding along like a puppet. When have you ever had an original thought? Kate started walking again, this time with Sarah beside her. Lorraine's voice followed them across the set. Fine. Go. See if I care. You're not as important as you think you are, Kate Winslet. Kate didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge the comment. She simply kept walking, with her head held high. Sarah walked with her, and Marcus quickly followed, leaving Lorraine alone on the set. The studio audience sat in stunned silence. No one knew quite what to do. Lorraine turned to face them, trying to regain some composure. Well, there you have it, folks. Another celebrity who can't handle the heat. Let's take a commercial break, shall we? But her voice was shaking, and her hands were trembling. The camera operators didn't cut away immediately. They kept filming as Lorraine stood there, alone in the middle of the set, her chest heaving with angry breaths. One of the producers rushed onto the set, whispering urgently to Lorraine. She pushed them away angrily. "Get off me. I don't need your input right now." The producer tried again. "Lorraine, we need to cut to commercial. This is a disaster." Lorraine's voice was shrill. "A disaster? This is honest television. This is what people want to see." The producers shook their head. "No, Lorraine, this isn't what anyone wants to see. You just attacked one of the most beloved actresses in the world on live television." Lorraine finally seemed to realize the gravity of what had happened. Her face went from red to pale in seconds. She was being so sensitive about everything." The producer's voice was firm. "You made comments about her body, her career, and treated her with complete disrespect from the moment she sat down. There's no way to spin this, Lorraine." Lorraine looked around the studio, at the shocked faces of the audience, at her remaining crew members who were all staring at her with mixtures of disappointment and disbelief. Meanwhile, backstage, Kate stood in the corridor with Sarah and Marcus. Her hands were still shaking slightly, but her voice was steady. "Thank you both for standing up for me in there. You didn't have to do that." Sarah hugged her. "Yes, we did. What she did was unforgivable. I've worked with Lorraine for 5 years, and I've never seen her behave like that." Marcus nodded. "She's been getting worse lately. More aggressive in interviews, more confrontational. But this was something else entirely." Kate took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. "I've been in this industry long enough to handle tough questions. I've faced critics and skeptics and people who didn't believe in me. But that in there, that wasn't journalism. That was personal." Sarah squeezed her hand. "Everyone watching will know that. You handled yourself with incredible grace under impossible circumstances." Marcus agreed. "You gave her so many chances to back down, to redirect the conversation. She just kept pushing and pushing." A member of Kate's team appeared with her coat. "The car is ready whenever you are, Kate." Kate nodded gratefully. "Thank you." She turned back to Sarah and Marcus. "What will you two do now?" Sarah shrugged. "Find new jobs, I suppose. Though honestly, after what I just witnessed, I don't think I could work for her another day, even if she begged me back." Marcus smiled grimly. "Same here. Some things are more important than a paycheck, like integrity and basic human decency." Back on the set, Lorraine was now sitting in her chair, her head in her hands. The producer stood nearby, phone pressed to their ear, clearly dealing with panicked executives. The studio audience was being ushered out, many of them still talking in hushed, shocked tones about what they had just witnessed. One of the camera operators approached Lorraine cautiously. "We're clear now, Lorraine. Cameras are off." Lorraine looked up, her makeup smeared slightly from where she had been pressing her hands against her face. "What have I done?" The camera operator didn't answer. They just walked away, leaving Lorraine alone with her thoughts. The bustling energy of a live television show had evaporated, replaced by an eerie quiet. Staff members moved around, packing up equipment, avoiding eye contact with their host. Nobody seemed to know quite what to say. The stage manager approached Lorraine slowly. "The executives want to see you in the office, right away." Lorraine nodded mutely, standing on shaky legs. Kate, now in the lobby of the building, was surrounded by her team. Her publicist was on the phone, no doubt already managing the situation. Kate herself seemed calmer now, though the anger still simmered beneath the surface. "I want to make one thing clear," she said to her team. "I don't regret walking out. I would do it again in a heartbeat. No one should have to sit there and be treated like that." Her publicist nodded while still listening. To whoever was on the phone. "Absolutely. We're going to release a statement. Keep it dignified. Keep it factual." Zara and Marcus had also made their way down to the lobby. Sarah approached Kate one more time. "I just want you to know, several of us are planning to speak out about what happened today. We all saw it. We're all witnesses to how badly you were treated." Kate touched Sarah's arm gratefully. "Thank you. That means more than you know." Marcus added, "The truth will come out. It always does. And the truth is that you conducted yourself with professionalism and class, while she showed her true colors." Back upstairs, Lorraine sat in the executive office, facing three very stern-looking network executives. One of them, a woman in a sharp suit, spoke first. "Do you have any idea what you've just done, Lorraine? Do you have any concept of the damage you've caused?" Lorraine's voice was small, so different from the brash, aggressive tone she had used on set. "I was just trying to make good television. I wanted to push for honest answers." The executive shook her head. "Honest answers? You attacked her appearance. You belittled her career. You physically grabbed her arm. This wasn't journalism, Lorraine. This was harassment." Another executive, an older man, leaned forward. "We're getting calls already. Sponsors are pulling out. Other celebrities are canceling their scheduled appearances. The social media reaction is, it's catastrophic." Lorraine felt tears pricking at her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to go that far. She just kept being so defensive, and I thought if I pushed harder, we'd get to something real." The woman in the suit stood up. "The only thing real here is the very serious situation you've created. We're going to have to discuss the future of this show." Kate was now in her car, finally leaving the building behind. She stared out the window, watching the city pass by, her mind replaying the confrontation. Her publicist, sitting beside her, spoke gently. "Are you okay?" Kate nodded slowly. "I am. Angry, yes. Shaken, definitely. But okay, I just keep thinking about all the other guests who might have gone through something similar with her. People who maybe didn't feel they could speak up or walk away." Her publicist made a note. "That's actually a good point to address in our statement, that this isn't about you being difficult. It's about calling out unacceptable behavior." Sarah and Marcus had left the building as well, standing on the sidewalk together, both somewhat dazed by the rapid turn their day had taken. Sarah spoke first. "I can't believe I just got fired from a job I've had for 5 years." Marcus laughed, though there was no humor in it. "I can't believe it took me 5 years to stand up to her. Today should have happened a long time ago." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. "You know what? I'm not even upset. I'm relieved. I don't have to pretend any more that what she does is okay." Marcus agreed. "Same. My conscience is clear. Can't say the same for her." Inside the executive office, Lorraine was now crying openly. "Please, you have to understand. This show is my life. It's everything I've worked for. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but surely we can fix this." The third executive, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Lorraine, this isn't just a mistake. This is a pattern. We've had complaints before. We've had concerns raised. We chose to overlook them because the ratings were good. But this is too public, too blatant. We can't overlook this." Lorraine wiped her eyes desperately. "I'll apologize. I'll make a public statement. I'll do whatever it takes." The woman in the suit sat back down. "An apology at this point feels hollow, Lorraine. You had multiple opportunities during that interview to change course. Your own panelists tried to intervene. The audience was clearly uncomfortable. But you kept going. You escalated. That shows a fundamental lack of judgment." Lorraine's voice cracked. "I know. I know I went too far. But please, give me another chance. Let me make this right." The executives exchanged glances. The older man spoke carefully. "We're going to need some time to assess the full extent of the fallout. In the meantime, tomorrow's show is canceled, and you need to stay away from the press." Kate arrived at her hotel, grateful for the privacy and quiet of her room. She sat on the edge of the bed, finally allowing herself to fully process what had happened. Her phone was buzzing constantly, with messages of support from colleagues and friends who had already heard what happened. She picked it up and scrolled through a few. One message from a fellow actress read simply, "Proud of you for walking out." That took courage. Another from a director she had worked with years ago said, "Just saw the clip. You handled that with incredible dignity. She should be ashamed." Back at the studio, word had spread through the entire building about what had transpired. Staff members gathered in small groups, talking in low voices. Many expressed shock at Lorraine's behavior. Some admitted they had seen signs of this kind of conduct before, but never anything quite this extreme. The general consensus was that Lorraine had finally gone too far, and there would be consequences. A few people felt sorry for her, recognizing that she had destroyed something she had worked years to build. But sympathy was in short supply, given the cruelty they had all witnessed. Lorraine left the executive office an hour later, her face blotchy from crying, her shoulders slumped into feet. She walked through the building to her dressing room, aware of the stares and whispers following her. No one approached her. No one offered words of comfort or support. The isolation was complete and devastating. She sat in her dressing room, staring at herself in the mirror, barely recognizing the person looking back. How had it come to this? How had she let her need for dramatic television override her basic sense of decency? Kate ordered room service that evening, not wanting to face the outside world just yet. She turned on the television and, inevitably, saw clips of the confrontation already being analyzed on news programs. Commentators were almost unanimously supportive of Kate and critical of Lorraine. One entertainment journalist said, "What we witnessed today was a masterclass in how not to conduct an interview. Kate Winslet showed remarkable restraint in the face of unprovoked attacks." Another added, "This raises serious questions about oversight in daytime television. How was this behavior allowed to continue?" Sarah was at home, also watching the coverage, when her phone rang. It was Marcus. "Are you watching this?" he asked. Sarah sighed. "Yeah, it's everywhere. Every channel, every website. I knew it would be bad, but this is something else." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Do you regret standing up for Kate? Losing your job?" Sarah didn't hesitate. "Not for a second. Do you?" Marcus laughed. "Not at all. I actually feel lighter than I have in years. Turns out integrity weighs less than compromise." Sarah smiled. "That's actually quite profound, Marcus." Lorraine remained in her dressing room long after everyone else had left the building. The cleaning crew worked around her, avoiding conversation. She had turned off her phone after the 100th call from friends, family, and reporters. She couldn't face any of it. She kept replaying the interview in her mind, seeing now with awful clarity every moment where she could have stopped, could have redirected, could have shown grace instead of cruelty. But she hadn't. She had pushed and pushed, driven by something she couldn't even name. Pride? Insecurity? A desperate need to prove something? Kate finally called her family that night, needing to hear familiar, loving voices. Her mother answered on the second ring. "Darling, I saw what happened. Are you all right?" Kate felt tears finally coming, the ones she had been holding back all day. "I'm okay, Mom. It was awful, but I'm okay." Her mother's voice was fierce with protective love. That woman should be absolutely ashamed of herself. The way she spoke to you, the things she said. "I'm proud of you for walking out. You don't have to take that from anyone." Kate smiled through her tears. "Thanks, Mum. I just needed to hear your voice." The next morning, Kate woke to find that the story had only gotten bigger overnight. Social media was flooded with support for her and condemnation of Lorraine. Several other celebrities had come forward with their own stories of uncomfortable interviews with Lorraine, though none quite as extreme as what Kate had experienced. The tide of public opinion was overwhelmingly in Kate's favor. Her publicist called early with an update. The network is in crisis mode. Word is they're seriously considering canceling Lorraine's show entirely. And Kate, you're getting offers. Lots of them. People want you on their shows to tell your side of the story. Kate considered this carefully. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't want to keep this going. I just want it to be over. Her publicist understood. That's your call, but I think people need to hear from you. Your voice, your perspective. Otherwise, the narrative gets controlled by everyone else. Kate sighed. Let me think about it. I need a little more time. She hung up and stared out her hotel window at the city below. Somewhere out there, Lorraine was waking up to the consequences of her actions. Kate didn't feel triumphant. She just felt tired and sad that it had come to this. Lorraine had barely slept. She had spent the night reading the coverage, the comments, the reactions. Each one felt like a knife to her heart. People she had considered friends were distancing themselves. Colleagues were speaking out against her. The network executives had called again early in the morning with more bad news. Sponsors were pulling out in droves. Scheduled guests were canceling. Staff members were requesting transfers or resigning outright. The show she had built, the empire she had created, was crumbling around her, and she had no one to blame but herself. Kate decided to release a brief statement through her publicist rather than doing interviews. It read simply, I want to thank everyone for their support during this difficult time. I went on that show in good faith to discuss my work. What transpired was unfortunate, but I stand by my decision to remove myself from a situation that had become hostile and disrespectful. I hope this incident sparks a larger conversation about how we treat people in the media and the responsibility we all have to uplift rather than tear down. The statement was measured, dignified, and perfect. It said everything that needed to be said without stooping to Lorraine's level. Sarah received a call from a rival network offering her a position on their morning show. The caller said, "We saw what you did, standing up for Kate. That's the kind of integrity we want on our team." Sarah was stunned and grateful. She accepted on the spot. Marcus received a similar offer within hours. It seemed that their stand against Lorraine, far from ending their careers, had actually enhanced their reputations. They had become symbols of doing the right thing, even when it cost them something. 3 days after the incident, the network made their decision. Lorraine's show was canceled effective immediately. The official statement cited irreconcilable differences between the host's conduct and the network's values. Lorraine was offered a settlement to go quietly, which she accepted, having no leverage left to negotiate. Her career in television, built over decades, was over. Not because of ratings or changing trends, but because she had forgotten the basic principle of treating people with respect and dignity. Kate returned to work on her film, grateful to lose herself in her character and the creative process. The cast and crew rallied around her, many expressing their admiration for how she had handled the situation. The director pulled her aside one day. "You know, what you did took real courage, standing up and walking away. Not everyone would have done that." Kate shrugged. "I just reached my limit. I think we all have one, a point where we say enough is enough. That was mine." The incident became a turning point in conversations about interview ethics and the treatment of guests on talk shows. Media training programs started using the footage as an example of what not to do. Kate's decision to walk out was analyzed in journalism schools as a case study in the power dynamic between hosts and guests. Some argued she was right to leave. Others debated whether staying and fighting back might have been more effective. but everyone agreed that Lorraine's conduct had been indefensible. Months later, Kate was asked about the incident in an interview with a respectful, professional journalist. She chose her words carefully. "I don't harbor anger toward Lorraine as a person. I'm sure she's dealing with her own struggles and regrets, but I don't regret walking out. Sometimes standing up for yourself means removing yourself from a toxic situation, and I hope that anyone watching, whether they're famous or not, takes away the message that you don't have to accept being treated poorly. You always have the right to say no, to set boundaries, to walk away." Lorraine, in her forced retirement, watched that interview from her home. She saw Kate's grace, her lack of vindictiveness, her ability to take the high road, even when discussing someone who had treated her so poorly. It made Lorraine feel even smaller, even more ashamed. She had lost everything: her show, her reputation, her dignity, because she couldn't control her worst impulses for 40 seconds. 40 seconds that destroyed years of work. 40 seconds that revealed who she really was when given power over someone else. The story became legend in the entertainment industry. It was whispered about in green rooms and makeup chairs. New hosts were warned not to pull a Lorraine Kelly. Publicists used it as leverage when negotiating interview terms for their clients. And Kate Winslet, the woman who refused to be bullied on live television, became even more respected than she had been before. Not just as an actress, but as a person of integrity who knew her worth and wouldn't compromise it for anyone. In the end, it wasn't about who won or who lost. It was about what happens when cruelty meets dignity, when insecurity meets confidence, when someone's need to diminish others collides with someone's refusal to be diminished. Kate had simply done what anyone should do when faced with mistreatment. She had stood up, spoken her truth, and walked away with her head held high. And in doing so, she had taught a lesson that resonated far beyond that studio, far beyond that 40 seconds of television history. She had taught everyone watching that respect is not negotiable, dignity is not optional, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to participate in your own degradation.